Dominic Alafaci. It's all about the money, and you, Dominic. collinshouse.com is your website.
Yes, and the good news is we're opening up our free telefinance consultations again next week.
Are you?
So you can book in for October. I did 142.
Oh.
So we got to the end of the year. Go to collinshouse.com. You get a free video consultation with myself, and we're able to help a lot of people, which is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what's the state overnight? What happened?
Well, pretty boring overnight, actually. The Dow Jones Industrial Average put on 75 points. At least it was in the right direction, to 34,577, whilst the Nasdaq rose 13 points to 13,762, and the S&P 500 was 6 points higher at 4,457. Before I give the rest of the numbers, it was interesting that India's PM, Narendra Modi, said he's really disappointed that Putin and the Chinese president aren't attending the G20 meeting in New Delhi. I reckon if they went there, they might get stoned or something. Yeah. It was a security issue.
Yeah.
I reckon they're clever because not many people are liking them at the moment. There's lots of distrust with both of those leaders, but our Prime Minister's trying to go over to there and shake a few hands and get a few deals done. Gold rose 20 cents to $1,942.70.
Mark's happy.
Mark, as long as it's under 1950, I'll be buying it. So there you go. That's just my personal opinion. Get professional advice before you start speculating in gold.
Buy.
No, it's a highly speculative commodity, but it's a weird commodity because it doesn't pay a dividend. It just sits there.
Sits there doing nothing.
Yes, it's gathering dust. Wessex Intermediate put on 64 cents to $87.51 a barrel, and Brent crude was 73 cents higher at $90.65, which is interesting because I think the OPEC suppliers are holding back supply to push the price up to pay for some of their, someone said, soccer teams that they're buying around the world. They need a few more $1 billion. So I think we'll just up the price of oil by holding back our supplies so we can buy another soccer team. There you go. What a waste of money.
I tell you who I've been let down by. Qantas. I've been such a loyal Qantas customer. I've always tried to fly Qantas. I've got a Qantas cash card, so every dollar I spend gets me a point for my frequent flyers. I've got over 1 million points, and I'm hearing stories that the point values are going to be degraded. The CEO's scarpered. The new CEO. I've bought shares in the company. They've done all right, actually.
Darren, Qantas is dead to me.
Really?
A few years ago...
That's harsh.
A few years ago we bought...
Mine's on life support.
Well, can I tell you, a few years ago, bought some tickets, business class to London, and it was about 16 grand or something, I think it was, right? They charged me twice. Lucky my credit card limit had enough money to cover it.
Yeah.
To get my money back, I had to prove to them... They took the frickin' money out. I didn't do it. I had to go to my bank and get a bank statement and to show that the money on my... Cause I use an app. I don't usually get paper statements anymore. So I didn't know how to copy my app. I took a screenshot. That wasn't good enough.
Right.
I had to send them. Took me 3 months to get...
3 months to get your 16 grand back?
They are so... That little...
You're not happy?
Well, that
like
little Irishman, he's a little, I would say he's a greedy person. That's all I'd say, a greedy person. To have customer service as bad as that. I'd been a frequent flyer for 25 years. I had a really good, I loved them.
You
so
sort of, it's the company, it's the Australian company. Started in Longreach, you know?
And made you proud hopping on the plane. Yeah. Doesn't matter whether you're from Sydney or Chicago, you know, you'd always feel good coming home on a Qantas. Not anymore. They're dead to me.
There's a yarn today in the AFR, Dominic, that an AI-generated stock portfolio beat Australia's top active managers over a 3-month period, returning 8.2% compared to 6.3%. It was a experiment by the investment editor Finder using ChatGPT, Bard, and Google's AI chatbot.
Well, it's not surprising.
Yes. I wanted your take.
It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, unpack it for us. Is it starting to creep in more? What are the dangers? Well,
look, it could prove to be a brilliant thing, but at the moment, active fund managers can't even beat the index in most cases. So if you've, on average, very, very few. So some might have a terrific period. They hit 100, make 6 centuries, or in footy terms, they kick half a dozen goals 6 weeks in a row. Then they're on the bench. So there's a thing that's called SPIVA, S-P-I-V-A, that the S&P Dow Jones indices produce, and it compares the average active manager to the average index. And most of the time, the active managers don't outperform the index. They probably underperform by about 70 to 80% of the time. So the fact that you've got a robot trying to do it is trying to replicate a human. Look, they could crack it one day. I'm sure there's going to be some advances in this in the AI space that we are yet to be aware of. But the fact that a human can't do it and a robot could do it better, I suppose. But it's not surprising that.
That's the case. It's like that with a lot of industries now. So
yeah, but look, I think where I really like the AI concept is in helping people get the basic stuff we get done, the boring stuff, the doing your budgeting for you, doing your should I get my car serviced? What should I do with my my credit card? Should I pay the interest off early? When should I sort of retire? It's going to be great for planning, but in terms of stock picking, I reckon it's sheer backside, not class.
Interesting. If you'd like any advice from Dominic, or if you'd like to contribute, you can by calling 133 693. Maybe you've just bought some gold. Maybe you've got some Bitcoin you're thinking of. What do you do with Bitcoin? Sell it or buy it? Or
it was when it was $65,000 I said get out, and now it's 25,000. So I rest my case. Have a bit of a punt, and look, it's probably going to be about 4 years away before we have a cryptocurrency that's bank-backed.
Okay.
They're working on it. When it's a bank-backed or a corporation or a reserve bank banked, I'll say that again, a reserve bank-backed cryptocurrency, I'd buy it with my ears pinned back. But there's those people out there who control the numbers and don't know who they are.
Yeah, there's a crypto vending machine at Victoria Gardens near the ATM where you can stick. I assume you put a $20 note in and you buy some crypto.
Oh my goodness.
Dominic. Yeah. But that feels very short term, try and make a quick buck kind of investing rather than sitting down and having a conversation. It feels like a bit catch and grab and dangerous, doesn't it?
It does. And I'd ask you this question. I mean, the technology behind cryptocurrencies is brilliant. It's just the only reason I don't like Bitcoin is I don't know who controls the numbers.
Yeah.
They're an unknown group of people. Like, would you buy a house at auction and the title is digitised and you don't know who can change the title? Give me a break.
Yeah, fair call. The number 133 693. All the lines are free. And to Mark, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. I've just I'm looking at retirement and so forth, and all the financial advisors want to sit me down and do a full plan and then get me to pay an annual fee every year. And it's like, I've already got a plan that I have an idea about, but I just want to pay for a service, so that I can...
A one-off service. Mate, you can get that. Look, we certainly provide the one-off service. We obviously want you to be an ongoing client, but there's no compulsion.
No commitment. I'm with you, Mark. I'd rather pay a big one-off.
But you know what?
What?
Half the time... Look, I had a lovely client the other day, and I'll be brief. The things he needed to do were going to take 6 to 7 months. Like he had this property...
I'm okay with that if that's the sort of thing that ends up being the outcome. But there's a lot of questions that I have in my mind that I want to get forward, but I don't want to have to...
Yeah, Mark, I'll make it easy for you. We don't want to charge you that much money. It's the blooming government. Right. There is a chance of some legislation going through that'll take the requirement of providing a complex statement of advice for you. And it's a bit like, you've heard my ski story before. You go into a shop and you say, I just want to buy a helmet, right? And you go, no worries. This is the world that we live in. Dominic, have you considered getting your skis checked? No, mate, I'm right. My skis are fine. Just want a helmet. What about your stocks? Look, buddy, I just want a helmet.
Yeah.
What about your gloves? Look, it's really cold. If you're going to Japan, you're going to freeze your fingers. I just would like to buy a helmet.
I want a helmet.
That's our life. We have to go through and say, you sure you don't want this? You sure you don't want that? The government poses a lot of obligations on us, and if we sort of put a line through all of the things on the checklist, we break the law. So, Mark, it's mainly because of the government, but look, give us a call. We can do a financial plan for you, charge you a flat fee, and see you later, Charlie.
Yeah.
But it's not that. You'll find It's like working with an architect. You get a house drawn up, there'll be 3 or 4 other visits. Gee, you know what, I don't really want the bathroom there. I want it over there. Well, I've got to do some more work.
Yeah.
So, Mark, you can certainly get it. The ongoing fee is, because we make no money up front, it's actually just a sunk cost for us, and we hope the clients become ongoing clients. We have a mutually rewarding relationship.
Thanks, Mark. To Wendy, good morning.
Oh, good morning.
Wendy.
Hello, Wendy.
Hey, Dominic. I've got a terminal illness, and I'm just wondering, I phoned my super company, and I've got my sons as beneficiary.
How old is your son? How old is your son, Wendy?
There's 3 sons, and they're all in their 30s.
And okay, well, Wendy, I'm sorry to hear of your terminal illness. I think you should get some personal advice, and I'm not going to do this on air, but other than saying you should be able to get your funds before you pass out of the super system. Don't wait until you're trying to get your sons to inherit it, because there's a lot of tax consequences. So depending on the type of superannuation fund that you have, and if you have any life insurance cover within the super fund, it might be at best to apply for an early release of the death benefit, if that makes sense. But please get some personal advice. It's not straightforward. The law is being designed by I won't say subcretinous morons, I just did. But so it's complicated and it's not quite fair. But if you do it this way, you'll probably save on tax.
Good luck, Wendy. To David, good morning.
Yeah, morning, gents. So, Dominic, just, I suppose, tying in with your first caller, you mentioned about your video catch-ups.
Yep,
I think it's time for my wife and I to sit down and maybe just talk to somebody different to who we've been speaking to in the past. So, what... do you do them after hours? Like we both work.
No, we do them. Okay. I do them, say, 9:30 until, say, 4 o'clock usually, because I'm chock-a-block most days. But they're general advice. What we do is we get an understanding of your overall situation, but we can't give you specific advice. Like that poor lady we just spoke to a moment ago, she has a specific need. Now, when I give her that advice, that is personal advice, and I need to do it in this compliant document called a statement of advice. Whereas if you and your wife just ring up, Dave, and want to have a chat, I can give you a thumbnail sketch over, the back of an envelope and say, look, roughly, this is what you'll need. I can send you some information from the Australian Superannuation Funds Association. It says this is how much you need to retire on. This is what some people have got budgets of this much and that much.
Go to collinshouse.com there, David, find out more. An email from Stephen. He's written a song to the tune of I Still Call Australia Home. I go on flights that never take off, from Melbourne to Brisbane and a harbour named Cough. And no matter how far or how wide I roam, I still find it hard to get home.
Have a great weekend, boys.
See you, Emily. See you, Dominic.
Ciao, Darren.
Motoring is next with Paul Gover here on 3AW.